It's honestly the fundamental question every frustrated cat owner has asked themselves at some point. Why do cats attack for no reason? I mean, it feels so incredibly random, right? Like your sweet, cuddly pet just totally short-circuited out of nowhere. But the truth is actually quite a bit different.
Here is the crazy twist that nobody tells you. They don't attack for no reason. And honestly, you probably didn't actually do anything wrong in that scenario either. The reality is, you just aren't fluent in cat. Today, we're not just going to rattle off a list of random reasons why cats bite. We are going much deeper. We're looking at how a cat's brain actually functions and why what looks like sudden, crazy aggression to us isn't actually aggression to them at all. By the end of this explainer, I promise you won't see your cat as moody or unpredictable anymore. You're going to see an animal speaking a highly complex language that you just haven't learned to translate yet. Let's start with a really strange evolutionary fact. Cats basically domesticated themselves. Think about dogs for a second. Dogs were shaped by humans over thousands and thousands of years, specifically molded to read our faces and cooperate with us. Cats, they just kind of wandered into human settlements to hunt rats and basically decided we were, tolerable, useful even. Your cat's brain was never rebuilt for human cooperation. You're literally living with a small, intact wild predator who just happened to agree to a roommate arrangement.
And that brings us to this massive light bulb realization. Predators don't have meltdowns. They have triggers. We absolutely have to shatter this myth that cats attack for no reason. Because they are predators at heart, there is always a highly logical, specific reason for what they do. Every sudden reaction is tied directly to a cause. You just aren't trained to spot it yet. So let's break down a few of the most common triggers that cause these misunderstood reactions, starting with that classic one that happens right in your lap.
This leads us to a really common scenario that animal behaviorists call the static buildup effect. Imagine your cat's skin for a second. It is absolutely covered in nerve endings that are far, far more sensitive than ours. When you sit there stroking them, every single pass of your hand is sending a massive wave of sensory input straight to their brain. Now, at first, it feels amazing. But then it builds. It piles up, literally just like static electricity, until it crosses a biological threshold that only your cat can feel. Once it crosses that invisible line, the feeling becomes completely overwhelming, and that energy absolutely has to discharge somewhere. That sudden bite, it's not a betrayal. It's just a physical release valve for sensory overload. And this sensory sensitivity, it feeds right into their broader worldview. Cats run on a completely different threat calculator than we do. Out in the wild, a cat has this fascinating dual identity. Yes, they are predators who hunt mice, but they're also prey. Larger predators like hawks or coyotes hunt them. Because of that, a cat's brain is hardwired to constantly, obsessively ask one single question. Can I control this situation? When the answer is yes, you get the relaxed, playful, affectionate pet. But when the answer feels like no, maybe from something as minor as being picked up suddenly, cornered in a hallway, or startled out of a deep sleep, that ancient prey brain instantly flicks on. And when that prey brain takes over, the rules change completely. A cornered prey animal doesn't negotiate. When a cat feels trapped, instinct demands a fierce, immediate reaction. They simply do not have the time to stop, assess your feelings, and gently ask you to back off. They strike first to create distance, and they evaluate the threat later. It is pure, unfiltered survival instinct. So, the absolutely crucial point here is this. When your cat strikes because they feel trapped or startled, that isn't your gentle house pet malfunctioning. They aren't being bad. It is literally a 4 million-year-old survival algorithm running exactly as it was designed to. It's perfectly optimized software doing the exact same thing that kept their ancestors alive for millions of years. Now, sometimes the aggression you experience wasn't even meant for you at all. Have you ever seen your cat sitting super intensely at the window, staring at a bird or maybe a rival neighborhood cat outside? Inside your cat's skull, a full predatory sequence is loading up. Stalk, chase, pounce, kill. Their adrenaline is absolutely spiking. But there's a pane of glass in the way. All that intense energy has absolutely nowhere to go. It's exactly like revving a sports car's engine while the parking brake is engaged. So your cat suddenly turns, and you just happen to be standing right there. Behaviorists call this redirected aggression. You weren't the target, you were just the nearest object that could absorb a launch sequence that had already been fired. It's just bad timing meeting a loaded spring.
Now, there is another trigger that should actually worry you a little bit, and it's called the silent signal. Out in the wild, looking vulnerable gets an animal killed, period. Because of this incredibly old survival rule, cats are absolute masters of hiding their weakness.
They rarely limp, they rarely whimper to show you they are hurt. Instead, they use silent signals to protect themselves from further harm.
Which leads us to this vital realization. If you have a cat that has been super easygoing for months or even years, and they suddenly turn aggressive, they often aren't behaving badly. They are in pain. Instead of crying out, they just quietly stop tolerating touch in one specific spot. Maybe it's a scratch near the base of the spine that used to be fine, or a touch near the belly that suddenly gets you a swipe of the claws. That sudden loss of tolerance is not a personality change. It might literally be your cat's only possible way of submitting a pain report, telling you that something under the surface really, really hurts.
Okay, then there is the issue we accidentally cause ourselves. Think back to when your cat was a tiny kitten. If you played with them using your bare fingers, wiggling them around like little mice, letting those tiny, harmless teeth close around your hand, you weren't just playing. You were running a highly effective hunting training program. You were teaching them, lesson by lesson, that human skin is a totally acceptable target.
Fast forward a year or two. That tiny little ball of fluff is now a full-grown, muscular athlete. And that playful little nibble you encouraged? Yeah. That has become 40 needle-sharp teeth attached to a highly evolved ambush predator who is currently hiding under your bed, waiting for your ankle to walk by. When they leap out and bite you, the harsh reality is you didn't get an aggressive cat. You got a very good student. Your cat is just flawlessly following the exact hunting rules that you accidentally established during their kittenhood. They are executing the training perfectly. Now, the good news is, just like they learn that behavior, you can help redirect it to appropriate toys. But it all starts with acknowledging that they are just playing the game exactly as they were taught.
So how do we actually stop these bites from happening? We have to learn the vocabulary. Remember that static buildup we talked about earlier? The warning that a bite is coming is almost always there, seconds earlier. You just need to know how to read the gauge before it hits red. Number 1, watch the tail. If it starts thumping just a fraction faster, pay attention. Number 2, you might see the skin rippling along their spine, which shows massive overstimulation. Number 3, their ears start rotating back or sideways like little satellite dishes. And finally, number 4, a sudden frozen stillness. If you see these signs, the gauge is maxed out. The sentence has started and the bite is going to be the final word.
All right, here is your action plan to prevent the escalation. Step 1, learn those early warning signs we just covered. Step 2, always give them an exit. A cat that knows it has a clear pathway to leave a situation almost never needs to fight its way out of one. Never, ever corner them. And step 3, when in doubt, check with a vet. If there's sudden new aggression, remember the silence signal. Rule out medical issues and hidden pain before assuming it's a behavioral problem.
So what is the big takeaway from all of this? It's simply this. Your cat was never the unpredictable one in the relationship. They have actually been remarkably consistent. You're simply reading a fluent, ancient language in a translation you never asked for. Once you stop expecting them to act like a dog or a human, and you respect their true nature, everything changes. They aren't random. They are a small, ancient predator, doing their absolute best to tell you something in the only voice they have.
Now, I want to turn it over to you, because learning this language is definitely a shared experience. Think about your own pets for a second. What is the absolute weirdest, out-of-nowhere attack your cat has ever pulled on you? And looking back on it now with this new perspective we've talked about, can you spot the trigger you might have missed? Did they see a bird? Were you petting them just a little too long? Reflecting on these specific moments is honestly the best way to start mastering your fluency in cat.
Learning the original words of your cat's language fundamentally changes the entire dynamic of your home. Those random attacks stop looking random, and you can finally build a relationship based on mutual understanding and genuine respect for the incredible little predators they are. And that is a wrap on our explainer for today. I really hope this completely changes how you read your cat's next so-called death stare. Until next time, go watch their tail. It's talking.